break northwards to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, a jury considers a verdict in the trial of a Milford man accused of attempted murder.
Plus, we'll also hear about a referendum effort that's taking shape to improve gun safety in the state of Maine.
And we'll hear how a nationwide egg shortage could impact Mainers.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us. We finally made it to Friday, and we'll have all the day's news coming up in just a few moments. But first, to check of that forecast, looks like a kind of a quiet period ahead, at least over the next couple of days. Going to be a little partly cloudy today. Tomorrow, lots of sunshine. Still on the cold side, though.
Pretty cold.
Yeah.
Here's Devin Biggs with that forecast.
Hey, Craig and Emma, thank you very much. Happy Friday. We've made it to the end of the week. Yesterday didn't start off too bad. In fact, the day wasn't horrible either. We had temperatures in the 20s, a little bit cooler further off towards the north. But now this morning, temperatures have really gotten cold. These are the low temperatures so far this morning. Many of us seeing single digits and even below zero temperatures farther off towards the north. Meanwhile, there's one small area of a small craft advisory that is expiring this morning as the wave heights begin to calm down. Meanwhile, on land, not looking too bad. A quiet day expected with a partly cloudy sky. We're seeing a few clouds this morning, but that's about it. And overall, it will be a little bit breezy at times too. But otherwise, the rest of the Northeast not looking too bad. Looks like some lake effect snow developing in a few spots, but that's about it as well. But Futurecast showing that partly cloudy sky today. We will become mostly clear later on tonight. Sunshine on the way as we start things off for your Saturday. Some gusty winds getting close to about 20, maybe 25 miles per hour today. The winds, for the most part, calming down later on tonight. There may be a few gusts on the way as we head towards your Saturday. For today, mid-20s, partly cloudy and breezy. Northwest wind getting up to about 20 miles per hour. Later on tonight, 2 below, mostly clear, and that northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Your hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period showing a lot of sunshine, some clouds for the afternoon with temperatures warming into the 20s. Your full fine-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Emma.
Thank you, Devin. Well, there's word this morning that a Milford man has been found guilty of attempted murder. Devon Carter was accused of striking the woman in the head multiple times with a hammer. As
Alex Schley reports, the jury began their deliberations late Thursday afternoon.
To day 3 of the Devon Carter aggravated attempted murder trial. His fate is now in the hands of a 12-person jury. Carter's on trial for allegedly attempting to murder his girlfriend by repeatedly hitting her with a hammer. The Milford man faces multiple charges, including aggravated attempted murder, elevated aggravated murder, and kidnapping. To kick off day 3, the trial jury heard from a series of forensic scientists from the Maine State Crime Lab, who explained how they confirmed crime scene evidence had been handled by Carter and the victim. After witness testimony, Carter announced he will not be taking the stand. The defense pushed for an acquittal, arguing the state failed to meet the legal standards. However, the judge denied the request. After lunch, each side gave their closing argument. The state prosecutor made their case that Carter was guilty of elevated aggravated assault and lesser charges.
He told Tara multiple times she was going to die. Tara told you that over the course of the attack, the defendant told her multiple times that she was going to die that day. She told you that he asked when her sons would be home because they were going to find her in pieces.
While the defense's attorney did acknowledge their defendant did get into an altercation with the accuser, they do not believe that he is guilty of these charges.
This is not a case where we are arguing that Mr. Carter did not commit a crime. Rather, it's what crime did he commit.
They also worked to paint a picture of a man suffering from addiction.
The same interview reveals that a large red container full of meth was unaccounted for. And I submit to you that they smoked it all, passing the pipe back and forth as Tara described.
The jury was handed the case just before 4 o'clock Thursday afternoon after being charged by the judge.
Again, there's word this morning that Carter was found guilty. We'll have more on the story later today.
Meanwhile, authorities say they've confirmed the location of that sunken fishing vessel's sudden impact and observed what is believed to be a body on board. According to the Department of Marine Resources, crews took advantage of slack water and by using underwater technology, they identified and confirmed the location of the vessel on Wednesday night. 160 feet beneath the surface near Moose Cove in eastern Washington County. Aboard sudden impact were Chester and Aaron Barrett, a father and son from South Addison, who were first reported missing on Saturday evening. Authorities say the two departed Cobscook Bay State Park at around 5 a.m. Saturday that day, and they plan to seek refuge in Cutler after facing unfavorable sea conditions. Marine Resources say recovery efforts were not possible during the latest effort, and the Maine Marine Patrol will now work with the family to determine the next steps in that process.
More charges may be filed against a Lincoln man described as a serial robber. 23-year-old Scott Dorn of Lincoln was arrested Wednesday night after police received a report of another robbery at a Circle K on Broadway near the I-95 exit ramp. Someone spotted the vehicle he was driving, and a police officer later spotted it and stopped it on the Griffin Road. That's where Dorn was taken into custody. Officials say he was wearing clothing that matched the description from the previous robberies. He's now in jail, charged with robbery and criminal threatening with a dangerous weapon. Police say Dorn is suspected of 2 previous robberies at the Circle K over the past 2 weeks, and also robbing the Big Apple on State Street earlier this week.
A Bangor man is facing charges after police say they found sexually explicit images of children in his home. Detective Lieutenant Brent Bullia says detectives with the Bangor Police Department Criminal Investigation Division began an investigation into the residence of 42-year-old Michael Kilty based on a tip from the Maine State Police Computer Crimes Unit. Bullia says the tip indicated sexually explicit material was being shared from that location. And according to Bullia, police searched the residence on January 17th. He says they seized videos that depict sexually explicit material of children under the age of 12 years old. Kilty was arrested on Wednesday and is now being charged with possession of sexually explicit material.
A close call yesterday morning in Newburgh as 2 vehicles collided at a busy intersection. Penobscot County Sheriff's Office tells us that a sedan and an SUV were involved in an accident at North Road and Carmel Road North at around 10:30 yesterday morning. The preliminary investigation says that one of the vehicles failed to yield at North Road and hit the car traveling in the opposite intersection. One person was sent to the hospital with minor injuries. The Sheriff's Office wants to let people know that it's best to slow down when approaching intersections. This accident could have been much worse.
Maine voters may have the opportunity to vote on a proposed red flag law during the November referendum election.
Our Augusta reporter Corey Bichard has the story.
Well, a current yellow flag law has to only be initiated by law enforcement. It completely disempowers family members.
Supporters of new gun safety laws held a rally at the State House on Thursday to announce that they gathered and submitted over 80,000 signatures for a citizens' initiative referendum vote on a proposed red flag law. Nicole Palmer, the executive director of the Maine Gun Safety Coalition, says the difference between our current yellow flag law and the proposed red flag law is the ability for family members to petition a court to temporarily remove guns from a person deemed to be a threat to themselves or others. With President Trump in the White House and Republicans controlling both chambers of Congress, Palmer says their best chance at getting gun reforms passed is at the state level.
There was one bipartisan law passed in the last 30 years, and that was under the Biden administration. And unfortunately, the current administration has made clear that they will not support gun safety measures. So we don't expect for the trend to change.
Palmer says people have been mostly supportive of the measure during their signature gathering last November.
I actually gathered petition signatures myself on Election Day, so I got to speak to a lot of voters, and there was broad support for this measure.
Opposition groups are already speaking out, with the Gun Owners of Maine saying in a statement, quote, "While the Maine Gun Safety Coalition continues to utilize emotional pleas in an attempt to manipulate the people of Maine, Gun Owners of Maine will stand ready with the facts and will continue to defend the rights of responsible gun owners in the face of the anti-gun rights lobby's attempt to turn Maine into states like New York, Illinois, and California," end quote. As long as the signatures are validated by the Secretary of State's office, the red flag law will be a referendum question on the November 2025 ballot. At the State House, I'm Corey Bichard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Penobscot County is expected to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars more this year, boarding inmates to other jails throughout the state as facilities raise their costs. This comes as county officials say the jail cannot physically house the rate of inmates coming in.
Our Grace Blanchard has more.
This is happening every day, and it's occurred for the past several years.
Penobscot County Sheriff says the county jail is sending inmates to other facilities at an alarming rate due to overcrowding and backlogs in the judicial system.
Our population can fluctuate every day from 10 to 30 inmates. We have no idea how many new individuals are being brought into the facility, new arrests being brought in from time to time.
Inmates are boarded out when Penobscot County reaches its state-mandated capacity of 157 people.
So we simply don't have the bed capacity to meet today's correctional needs.
According to county officials, last year the county spent roughly $2.1 million outboarding people at a rate of $85 per person each day. With the latest increase up to $100 per person, they're expecting that to reach possibly $2.5 million or more this year.
This boarding out is not going to get any better.
County Administrator Scott Adkins says the increase in costs come as other county jails face similar funding constraints from the state.
The clog at our judicial centers, which keeps our inmates in our facility, is really a backlog in the entire system.
The county has been debating building a new jail facility for years.
This building certainly has outlived itself. It's not cost effective, it's not safe, and it's not humane.
Sheriff Morton says eliminating the need to board people out with a larger facility would allow them to focus on other needs.
We could save the money from boarding out. We could provide the programming that individuals and our agency want to provide, but we need a correctional facility that meets today's correctional needs.
In Bangor, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
All right, the time now is 8:11. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, egg prices are expected to grow higher as the nation deals with an outbreak of avian flu. We'll hear how it could impact your trip to the grocery store in Maine.
But first, another check of that weather forecast. Today, a partly cloudy day ahead. It will be breezy with highs near 26 degrees. Mostly clear tonight with lows dropping down to around -2. Tomorrow, mostly sunny for your Saturday with highs near 22 degrees. We'll be right back.
Don't get cold feet this winter. Stay warm and dry with high-performance footwear from Comfort Shoes and More. With an extensive selection of winter boots rated from 0 to -60 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll find comfort in knowing your feet will be warm in any weather. Discover the latest in functional and fashionable footwear with grippers built right into the sole. With boots in stock up to 6E and size 17 for men and women. Take the drive to Newport for a sit and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
My sister had multiple falls and broke her leg in the nursing home. She was out of her room and unsupervised. How did that happen?
If a serious injury has happened at a nursing home that's brought up cause for concern, call the 2s right now.
Our attorney at Lowry & Associates helped me get answers. He made sure the nursing home paid for what happened to my sister.
If you suspect nursing home abuse or neglect, we're your go-to lawyers.
Why should your new floor come from Carpet One? Because we're passionate about the spaces our neighbors call home. We're part of your community, and we're also part of the world's largest cooperative of independently owned and operated flooring stores. So you can be sure you'll get great selection and outstanding value with every installation. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, tile, or luxury vinyl, our experts take the guesswork out of choosing the right floor. We're your local Carpet One Floor and Home, the one store for your perfect floor.
Ready or not, here I come.
After his historic season, Saquon delivered an iconic playoff performance to put the Eagles in the NFC Championship.
Saquon bars it to the rescue.
Now with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line, they'll take on the Commanders' rookie sensation, Jaden Daniels, who looks to shock the world and send Washington to their first title game in 33 years.
Touchdown, Washington!
The NFC Championship. Coverage begins Sunday at 1 Eastern on Fox.
Welcome back, everyone. Congressman Jared Golden of Maine and Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey have introduced legislation that they say would guarantee Gulf of Maine fishing waters are protected from offshore wind development. A statement from the congressman says nearly 83% of lobster harvested in the Gulf of Maine is hauled by Maine lobstermen, and the area is also a critical ground for fishing for other species, including halibut, flounder, mussels, clams, and scallops. The statement says while the Maine legislature enacted a ban on offshore wind development in state-controlled waters, Mainers harvest more than 20 million pounds of lobster from federal waters each year, a haul the congressman says could be threatened by the development of wind farms in that area. Congressman Golden said, quote, Maine's fishermen deserve to know that waters critical to our historic high-value industry are protected not by promises, but by federal law.
More than $6 million has been targeted for economic development projects here in Maine. The money comes from the Northern Border Regional Commission's Catalyst program and Forest Economy program. It will support projects aimed at strengthening economic opportunity in communities across 5 Maine counties. Some of the projects include money to replace the 100-year-old water main in Dover-Foxcroft. You can see most of them here on your screen, but I'll list a few more. And funding to support a shared-use commercial kitchen for a startup business in Bangor. It also includes money for the Loring Development Authority of Maine and the Passamaquoddy tribe.
A growing bird flu outbreak has caused a nationwide shortage of eggs.
Our Doug Banks spoke with a University of Maine professor to learn more.
You can lose your entire livelihood if you're impacted with this disease and they have to dispatch your entire flock.
The country is currently facing an egg shortage. According to University of Maine professor Colt Knight, the primary cause behind it is highly pathogenic avian influenza, commonly referred to as the bird flu. But this recent egg shortage isn't new. Knight says this has been impacting our country for the last few years, beginning when migratory birds carrying the disease came over from Nova Scotia.
Last April, we had lost 58 million birds, and from then till now, it's now 138 million. So it's not gone away.
Knight says in the past quarter alone, 20 million hens have been lost. With inflation driving food prices up, Knight says that despite the shortage, the percentage of egg consumption from consumers is up roughly 5%.
Because it's still relatively cheap compared to some of your other proteins.
While the impacts of this are being felt in restaurants and grocery stores, Knight says it's the farmers and their livelihoods at stake.
It's a real gut punch whenever you lose animals, whether it's natural causes or disease or anything. These livestock farmers, they put their whole heart and soul into raising animals, and they hate to see anything happen to them. There's a big mental health crisis that goes along with some of these outbreaks. It's their whole life. So if anything negative happens to those animals, it's a real psychological impact on those folks.
In Orono, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
All right, the time now is 8:17. After the break, we'll hear why it's a good idea to keep an eye on your car's tire pressure as the temperatures continue to drop.
Plus, the latest on President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration and a big setback in his effort to end birthright citizenship. All the latest as Good Morning Maine continues.
Driving the Nissan Rogue with Google built in is like the perfect assist.
Hey Google, add basketball hoop to the shopping list.
See why it's been named a Consumer Guide Best Buy for 11 years in a row. Drive the award-winning Nissan Rogue today.
Now get a low $282 per month lease on Rogue, one of 6 Nissan vehicles with starting MSRP under $30,000.
We can go into a room and have absolutely nothing in there, nothing on the windows, no color, no character, no tone to a room.
That's, I think, where we're strongest, is being able to help someone envision what's going to go in that window.
And we leave, it's totally transformed into something that the customer wants it to be. We've often been told we make a room look better just by leaving it.
It's high school basketball season, and ABC 7 and Fox 22 are here to keep you up to date with your local scores and highlights during Friday Night Fast Break. Get out and support your hometown teams and look for our sports crew to get your own free Friday Night Fast Break t-shirt courtesy of
Katahdin Federal Credit Union, Katahdin General, Medway and Millinocket, Katahdin Hardware and Appliance, Millinocket Floral and Gift, and Northwoods Real Estate.
February 9th,
The Super Bowl is on Fox.
Let's go!
It's not how you begin.
You take advantage of the moment. Let's go, man. Let's go. Let's get rolling now.
But how you finish.
Dominate from the first step to the last step. Let's go!
Super Bowl 59, February 9th on Fox.
Earnhardt to the inside. Allison takes command. Gordon looking for the checkered flag. Here comes Logano.
Detroit drivers are having an increasing number of cars stranded on the side of the highway during the couple of days of freezing weather. That's why vehicle experts are reminding people that the cold weather can also affect your cars. Mechanics say some of the most common causes for a flat tire are potholes, but they say that cold weather conditions don't help.
This cold, it shrinks the air down. So now your tire is deflated. Now you're driving on it like this, you're wearing the tread down, you're bending the belts, and they end up getting flat tires.
When your tire goes flat, your vehicle may experience even more damage.
One little pothole, bump, and your tire's gone.
When your tire goes flat, your vehicle may experience even more damage. Mechanics say take your vehicle to an auto shop and have your tires checked as part of winter maintenance.
They want to have your battery checked there too. Usually they'll do that for free at a lot of shops. A lot of people have been talking about their batteries are struggling this week to get their cars started here in Maine.
Oh, last time I had my battery checked, it like messed up something in my wiring.
Really?
And my overhead light wouldn't turn off for weeks.
Oh,
so
well, that's not good.
I just unplugged my battery and plugged it back in again.
Do that.
Yeah, but no, yeah, check your tire pressure, and sometimes you have to get new tires too.
Right. Well, we are in survival mode, a lot of us anyway. Some people just thrive this time of year with the cold weather. They love to get outside, and it looks like a good weekend ahead to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of sun. Here's Devin Biggs with the forecast.
Hey, Craig and Emma, thank you very much. We have a small crowd advisory that is expiring this morning as the wave heights begin to calm down. So since we're talking about the wave heights, let's check on them right now. Still a little bit active out there at around 2 to 4 feet, but they've calmed down enough to where they're allowing the advisory to expire. But for now, here's what we're looking at this morning. A rather quiet start with a few passing clouds, but really that's about it. We will be under a partly cloudy sky moving forward. The rest of the northeast, just a little bit of lake effect still developing in some spots. Otherwise, for us, we're looking pretty good as we move forward today. Futurecast moving forward. We will be under a partly cloudy sky today. Any clouds that develop will begin to back off later on tonight, as will then become mostly clear. As we head towards your Saturday, a lot of sunshine to start, and we'll hold on to sunshine all day long. Maybe a little bit of clouds to the north, but that's about it. By Saturday night, notice some clouds will be passing through, and as we head towards your Sunday, maybe a slight chance for snow that we'll need to keep an eye on. But for now, the focus will also be on the gusty winds. Those could reach up to about 20 to even 25 miles per hour today before they start to calm down for the most part later on tonight. A few scattered gusts still cannot be ruled out at times for a few of us. Then once we head towards tomorrow, not looking too bad in the wind department either. Maybe a quick gust up to 15 miles per hour, and that's about it. Now, temperatures yesterday mid into the mid-20s in some spots. It was warmer to the south, almost 30s close to the Rockland area, but further off towards the north, it was a little bit cooler in the northern side of the state. And then, of course, this morning, it has gotten cold out there. Temperatures again in the single digits, if not even below zero further off towards the north. These numbers may fall a little bit more before we hit our final low temperatures this morning. But for now, our average high temperature is 27 degrees. We'll do mid-20s, so we're close to average today. And then lower 20s Saturday. And then we're back in the low 30s Sunday into Monday, mid-30s Tuesday. And then here we go, a cool down Wednesday and Thursday. We are back in the teens. So your forecast for today, mid-20s, partly cloudy and breezy. Northwest wind getting up to about 20 miles per hour. By tonight, here we go, 2 below under a mostly clear sky, and the northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And for tomorrow, we have lower 20s under a mostly sunny sky, and that west wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. All righty, let's check out your extended forecast. Partly cloudy Sunday with a slight chance for snow and highs in the low 30s. Mostly cloudy Monday with highs in the low 30s. Then there it is, a chance for rain and snow on Tuesday with highs above freezing in the mid-30s.
At US Cellular, you don't have to choose between a great phone and the right phone plan for you. You can get 4 free phones of your choice and 4 lines for just $90.
That's like us not having to choose between tickets to wrestling or that puppet musical.
Because you get both.
US Cellular, built for us.
I had a slip and fall accident.
I wasn't sure what to do. Joe Bornstein's office handled everything. The experience was much better than what I expected. They were very professional and responsive to all my questions and concerns. I highly recommend the law offices of Joe Bornstein. Over 25,000 victories for injured Mainers just like me. If you've been injured in an accident, call Joe. It's that easy. Tell him you mean business.
Call Joe today for a free case evaluation. There's never a fee unless you win.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
It's high school basketball season, and ABC 7 and Fox 22 are here to keep you up to date with your local scores and highlights during Friday Night Fast Break. Get out and support your hometown teams and look for our sports crew to get your own free Friday Night Fast Break t-shirt courtesy of
AMHG Works, First National Bank, Hamlin's Marine, Stonington's Furniture, Barney Buick GMC Bangor, and Twin City Tile.
Want to test drive U.S. Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free?
Here we go.
Hey, I wonder if U.S. Cellular lets me stream in my... Yep, it's working.
Download the U.S. Cellular Tri-Us app today.
Welcome back, everyone. Now to President Trump's immigration crackdown. Some big city mayors are protesting new arrests carried out in recent hours.
The arrests, coming as President Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship faces a major setback. ABC's Perry Russum has the details.
This morning, federal authorities confirmed the arrests of more than 500 undocumented migrants yesterday alone. Agents seen taking people into custody in multiple cities, including New York and Boston.
I wouldn't describe them as raids. What it seems to be is what we expected and what I support, which is the apprehension of criminals in our communities.
Sources say those operations have been routine. Most of the arrests appear to be suspected criminals. But in Newark, New Jersey, the mayor says agents detained multiple people at a restaurant without a warrant, including U.S. citizens and a military veteran. The restaurant owner claims agents took 3 employees into custody after they were unable to show documentation.
I feel that we have to be a country with law, but go after bad people, not working people. These are family people. These are people that show up to work every day.
New signs of President Trump's immigration crackdown are appearing along the southern border. 2 Osprey helicopters landing near the border of Tijuana and San Diego. On board, some of the 1,500 troops deployed this week.
So these trucks right here and those 2 helicopters that are landing as we speak, they're bringing supplies as a part of the very first steps of this deployment of the U.S. military down here to the U.S.-Mexico border.
One of Trump's executive orders already suffering a setback. A federal judge temporarily blocking Trump's order seeking to end birthright citizenship. The judge appointed by President Ronald Reagan calling Trump's order blatantly unconstitutional. Another hearing is scheduled in 2 weeks.
Obviously, we'll appeal it.
Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
President Trump threatening blanket tariffs on products not made in the United States, telling world business leaders if their products are not made on U.S. soil, they will be taxed. Trump claims the extra money will bring in billions of dollars for the United States, but questions remain over who will pay the bill. Trump speaking remotely to business leaders from around the world, gathering at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland.
My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth.
Trump threatening tariffs on America's top trading partners, Mexico and Canada. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says if Trump imposes tariffs on Canada, 2 things will happen.
1, Canada will have a strong, robust response, because we don't want this, but we will respond if necessary. And 2, prices for American consumers on just about everything will go up.
Trump also demanding the Federal Reserve drop interest rates immediately, despite the Federal Reserve being independent of executive and legislative influence.
Well, a procession was held Thursday in Vermont for a slain Border Patrol agent. Agent David Malin was killed in the line of duty during a traffic stop near the Canadian border. A German national on a current visa was also killed during that incident, and a suspect who was also injured was taken into custody.
Coming up on the second half of the newscast, all the latest news from showbiz.
As Good Morning Maine continues.
Do you have a wet basement, nasty crawl space, settling foundation, sinking concrete, or clogged gutters? I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems, all things basementy. For over 30 years, thousands of homeowners throughout Maine and southeastern New Hampshire have trusted TC Hafford. Basement waterproofing, crawl space repair, stabilizing foundations, concrete leveling, and gutter installation. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems for all things basementy.
You know what today is? It's Tuesday. But no matter what day of the week, Lowry & Associates is your go-to law firm. If you've been hurt, call us right now.
If you're hurt in an accident, what do you do? Call 222-2222.
When Blazing Trails located in Lincoln want to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Blazing Trails is Lincoln's #1 trusted dispensary, providing outstanding product and customer service to eastern and central Maine.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. Today is Friday, January 24th, 2025. It is also National Compliment Day. We have a very cute dog in the studio now playing with a dog toy.
Yeah, that'll be a little later on, so you'll just have to wait. The power of a compliment is pretty remarkable. Whether you're giving or receiving one, a compliment can boost your happiness and confidence. You never know when somebody could use some good vibes, so this is a day to spread some positivity by giving someone a reason to smile.
Yeah, it makes everybody feel a little better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just nice to be nice.
Right. All right, on this day in history, back in 1848, gold was discovered along the banks of Sutter's Creek, touching off the California gold rush, also changing the course of history in the American West. In 1908, the Boy Scouts movement began in England following a publication that taught boys lessons on tracking, outdoor activities, and good deeds. It inspired the creation of the Boy Scouts of America just 2 years later, and the Girl Scouts of America was created 2 years after that. In 1935, the first canned beer went on sale. It was all because of a special partnership between the American Can Company and the Gottfried Krager Brewing Company. It was first tested out in Virginia, and after most drinkers approved the taste of canned beer, it went into full production. I like that little machine they have over there.
I know. I'm like, is that a vending machine?
I don't know.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
One more here. In 2006, the Walt Disney Company announced a $7.4 billion deal to purchase the animation studio Pixar.
In 1989, confessed serial killer Ted Bundy was executed in Florida's electric chair. In 2013, President Obama, Defense Secretary Leon Panetta announced the lifting of a ban on women serving in combat. And in 2003, the Department of Homeland Security began operations in the wake of the 9/11 attacks. And in 2018, former sports doctor Larry Nassar was sentenced to up to 175 years in prison for molesting some of the nation's top gymnasts under the guise of performing medical treatments.
For birthdays today, they include singer Aaron Neville, who turns 84, actor Ed Helms turns 51, and singer Neil Diamond also turns 84 years old today.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
All right, moving on now. Looks like a sunny weekend ahead, even though it's pretty chilly.
Yeah.
Here's Devin Biggs with the forecast.
Hey, Craig and Emma, thank you very much. Happy Friday. We've made it to the end of the week. Yesterday didn't start off too bad. In fact, the day wasn't horrible either. We had temperatures in the 20s, a little bit cooler further off towards the north. But now this morning, temperatures have really gotten cold. These are the low temperatures so far this morning. Many of us seeing single digits and even below zero temperatures farther off towards the north. Meanwhile, there's one small area of a small craft advisory that is expiring this morning as the wave heights begin to calm down. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, on land, not looking too bad. A quiet day expected with a partly cloudy sky. We're seeing a few clouds this morning, but that's about it. And overall, it will be a little bit breezy at times too. But otherwise, the rest of the Northeast not looking too bad. Looks like some lake effect snow developing in a few spots, but that's about it as well. But Futurecast showing that partly cloudy sky today. We will become mostly clear later on tonight. Sunshine on the way as we start things off for your Saturday. Some gusty winds getting close to about 20, maybe 25 miles per hour today. The winds, for the most part, calming down later on tonight. There may be a few gusts on the way as we head towards your Saturday. For today, mid-20s, partly cloudy and breezy. Northwest wind getting up to about 20 miles per hour. Later on tonight, 2 below, mostly clear, and that northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Your hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period showing a lot of sunshine, some clouds for the afternoon with temperatures warming into the 20s. Your full fine day forecast is coming up. Craig and Emma.
Did the cough make it in?
Probably.
The cough.
Yeah. You okay, little buddy?
There was a
I think he just had a treat.
Yeah, he had a treat.
Yeah.
All right, for the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Richard Cantu.
Welcome to the White Lotus in Thailand Cut.
HBO is checking in for another season of The White Lotus. The anthology series has been renewed for season 4, less than a month before season 3 premieres on Max.
Your whole ministry is set up to serve the gemstones. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, I ain't. Praise be to He.
Another HBO show, The Righteous Gemstones, will be ending its run with season 4. The final episodes of the televangelist comedy will air in March.
I don't fight for power. I fight the free road for men like them.
But if you're looking for something to watch this weekend, Gladiator 2 is now available to stream. Netflix has season 2 of The Night Agent, and Prime Video debuts the 3rd and final season of Harlem. Fresh off Nosferatu's 4 Oscar nominations, director Robert Eggers has a new project lined up. Variety reports he'll be writing and directing a sequel to the Jim Henson cult classic Labyrinth, which starred the late David Bowie.
If I'm unable to find a husband, I shall be ruined.
Perhaps there is an answer. We could pretend to form an attachment.
And Bridgerton star Regé-Jean Page is 37 today. That's what's happening in Hollywood. Richard Cantu, ABC News, New York.
All right after the break, Tyler Cruz will have our sports updates.
We'll also be hearing about a special event to raise money for the SPCA in Hancock County.
Yep.
With tarot readings and things like that.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Tell you all about it when we come back.
Tired of waiting for the power company to restore your power? Call Ideal Energy Solutions. Let Ideal Energy Solutions install a Generac automatic standby generator and bring the power back instantly. Don't settle for less than Ideal. Go with Ideal Energy Solutions. Call today.
For great Toyota offers, including those not seen on TV, go to buyatoyota.com, Toyota's official website for deals. Now, you could type buyatoyota.com into your browser, or you could simply scan this QR code with your phone and immediately see offers, search inventory, and get a free independent trade-in value. See 4.99% financing on an all-wheel drive RAV4 with 2 years no-cost maintenance. So scan the code and give your fingers a break. Toyota, let's go places.
He lose his shirt.
I've never seen anybody lose their shirt.
Do you think they made him pay triple?
I guess our tactics didn't work today.
Who's the law firm? The law offices of Joe Bornstein.
If you've been injured in an accident, call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein. Maine lawyers working for Maine people.
Tell the insurance company you mean business.
Your favorite restaurants were half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Opa, a Greek Mediterranean dining experience like no other, serving the finest of Greek dishes in central Maine. Let Executive Chef Gage Derbyshire prepare your food while you enjoy a drink. Opa, it's all Greek to me.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
If you're looking to make the switch to heat pumps for your home or office, call Ideal Energy Solutions. Ideal Energy Solutions is ready to help you save energy with a new heat pump today. Don't settle for less than Ideal. Go with Ideal Energy Solutions. Call today.
Michigan. Big time. Purdue. Bam! Fox College Hoop Friday tips off at 8 Eastern.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. We'll start at the Alphon, where the Maine women's hockey team has won 4 of their last 6 games, and they're looking to fill the Steins tomorrow night against rival UNH. Our Jack Webb has the story.
With our Fill the Steins game tomorrow, we're trying to get the community involved, and I think that the energy in the building is going to be huge. UNH is definitely going to feel it.
Maine women's hockey is filling the Steins and packing the Alphon Friday night against bitter rival UNH, and they invite you to join them.
It's one of the efforts that our sort of team has made this year to get the community involved, and so I think it's a really great idea. I know the girls are going to be out on campus trying to get people in. I think the word is out, so hopefully we get a good turnout for it.
The Black Bears stumbled out of the gate this season, playing 3 of the top 8 teams in the country during non-conference play, but they say that's prepared them for what's to come.
I obviously think that we have grown a lot as a group from Quinnipiac, our first out-of-conference series at the beginning of the season, and then to Wisconsin. Obviously, they are tough games, but in the end, they make you better, and you can learn a lot from them. So I think that definitely played a big role in our growth as a group.
Maine comes into this border battle having won 4 of their last 6 games, playing their best hockey of the season.
We had a really big breakthrough just this weekend where we were kind of having fun but also staying disciplined and playing within our systems, and so I think that's huge, kind of supporting each other through that, and then just kind of staying true to the Maine hockey that we're building.
However, in a rivalry series like this, Coach says it'll come down to the little things against the Wildcats.
So I think it has been kind of right on the tip of our fingers, and we've talked about it's going to come down to discipline. Like, everybody's going to want it just as much. You know, stick position, playing from the inside out. Like, it's going to come down to the little details.
Puck drops Friday night at 6 p.m. at the Alphon. From Orono, Jack Webb, ABC 7, Fox 22 Sports.
Thank you for that, Jack. We'll head over to the hardwood now, where a number of teams were in action on Thursday. We'll start with a trip up I-95 into Lincoln. Matanocook Academy hosting Dexter in some girls action. Junior Addison Sear chasing her 1,000th point. We'll pick it up first possession of the game. Sear finds Lily Watton, who puts it up to open the scoring. Ensuing possession, here comes Dexter on the attack. Desiree Adams finds Kaylee Dutton, who buries the mid-range J to tie it up. Here come the Lynx now. Megan House finds Sear, who gets the and one here and scores her 1,000th point in a Matanocook Academy uniform. Dexter trying to get back into this one after this, but celebration would ensue. Adams finds Dutton again, who stops, pops, gets the bucket to fall, but this one would be all Lynx as Sear returns the favor, feeds House for 2. Matanocook wins 57-29. Here's what the star of the night had to say about her milestone.
I mean, it was crazy. It was so loud in here. There's way more people than I expected to be here, so it was just great.
Moving on now, let's go to Old Town for some Class B boys action. Herman Hawks visiting the Coyotes in a big one. Tournament time just under a month away. Second half, Hawks up. Maddox Kenny gets inside, gets it out to Mason Kinney. He pulls the 3 and he drills it. More Herman now in the third quarter. Tyler Corson gets it inside to Brody Hurd here. Hurd back out to Corson. He pulls the 3 and he drills that one. That puts the Hawks up 11. They would lead by 13, but here comes Old Town, end of the third. Emmett Byther gets it, pulls up from 3 at the buzzer, gets the hometown roll from the Mackenzie Jim Rims. That puts Old Town up by 1. To the fourth now, Ethan Clausen into Brady Parody. He hits Byther, cutting to the hole, knocks in the reverse layup and 1. Coyotes come back to win it 39-30.
I think, it just comes down to grit and getting down to it the whole third quarter and hustling the whole time.
All right, let's go to some college hoops now. Both Maine men and women in action, taking on UMass Lowell on Thursday. We'll start with Amy Vachon and her Black Bears at home in the Pit. Maine looking to go 3-0 on the homestand and sweep the season series with the Riverhawks. Third quarter, we'll pick it up. Black Bears up after the half. Caroline Borneman has it. She sends it out to Sarah Hodgson. She catches, shoots, and nails the corner 3 to open up the second half. Maine on defense now. Esta Blauenfeld comes away with the steal. Excellent bounce pass inside to Paula Gallego. Hits her in stride, and she finishes 4-2. Blauenfeld again running the break. She sends a dime all the way down to Borneman, who connects at the rim to finish it off. Blauenfeld showing off the passing. One more highlight now. J.C. Christopher gets it at the top of the key, pulls the 3, and she drills it. Maine wins by 30. It's their third win in a row. Down to Lowell now. Maine men taking on the Riverhawks. Maine looking for their 5th straight win. They are in Lowell for this one. First half, Lowell is up 10 here. Quentin Mincy has it inside, sends it out to Quincy Clark on the wing. He pulls the three and he hits it to put Lowell up 13. Second half now, Maine fighting back. Kellen Tynes gets it to A.J. Lopez. Lopez gets inside, stops in the lane, pivots, turns around, and buries the fadeaway jumper. Later in the half, Maine down one. Keon Burns takes the hit, gets the bucket to go, and the foul. He'd have 28 points in this one. Maine takes the lead. We'd go to overtime. Maine down 4. Lopez gets fouled, floats it up, and sinks it. He would hit it at the line, makes it a 1-point game. On the inbounds now, Maine forces the loose ball. Lopez picks it up, and he scores to put Maine up 1. 5 points for Lopez in the last 10 seconds. One last chance for Lowell is no good. Maine completes the comeback. They win 86-85. Here are some other scores from around the area. Central girls beat Penquist 61-20. Skank girls beat Stearns 48-40. Foxcroft Academy over Dexter in Class C boys action 60-48. And then in overtime, Stearns boys beat Southern Aroostook 64-58. All right, and that is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Don't get cold feet this winter. Stay warm and dry with high-performance footwear from Comfort Shoes and More. With an extensive selection of winter boots rated from 0 to minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll find comfort in knowing your feet will be warm in any weather. Discover the latest in functional and fashionable footwear with grippers built right into the sole, with boots in stock up to 6E and size 17 for men and women. Take the drive to Newport for a sit and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
Hammond Lumber Company has been a trusted partner of professional contractors, do-it-yourselfers, and homeowners for generations. It's the level of trust that Hammond Lumber has earned by providing an extensive selection of products and materials from industry-leading suppliers, with guidance and support through every stage of any project, including delivery of materials throughout Maine and New Hampshire. Hammond Lumber Company is, has been, and will always be your building project partner.
Fire, water, storm damage, and even mold. We take care of you from cleanup to construction 24/7. When disaster strikes, tell your insurance company you want Penobscot Cleaning Services.
Original reporting.
Even a small group of women can make a huge positive difference.
When it counts the most.
I'm here at Bogbrook Cove Preserve in Trescott Township, where if you walk down a trail a couple hundred feet, it'll lead you to Moose Cove.
News that matters.
Crews were called to the Meadow Lane apartment complex here in Ellsworth for reports of a working structure fire.
This is where Eastern Maine turns. Fox 22 News.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. We're here with Mariah Donovan. She's the development coordinator for the Hancock County SPCA, and she's introduced us to a new friend. We have Zoob here. Mariah, thanks so much for joining us.
Happy to be here, and so is Zoob.
So he's just like an adoptable dog here, but what you're really talking about today is a really cool fundraiser coming up tomorrow. Can you tell us about it a little bit?
Absolutely. It all actually started with one of our amazing volunteers, Dinah Day. She got in contact with some tarot readers that she knows that are also animal lovers. And 5 tarot readers and a massage therapist are donating their talents and time 100% to the SPCA tomorrow. They'll be there from 11 to 4 to do tarot reading and massages. And they're doing 15-minute slots for $20.
That is actually, okay, I go to tarot readers pretty regularly. I love this stuff. That is a good deal.
It's a great deal, and it's all for a super good cause like Zoop.
Right. Oh my gosh. So Zoop is also, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start.
He sees himself on TV.
Yeah, he's like, who is that handsome man?
So, I mean, could you go to the fundraiser and then also check Zoob out here to see if you're in the market for a new friend?
Yeah, so many shelters, including ours, have people do applications before going back to Jogland so that they can meet them outside or in a different setting than their kennel, because they get really stressed out with people just staring at them through the kennel. So we want to make sure that they're meeting them in the best way possible. So if anyone's interested in Zoob or our other dogs, please put in an adoption application on our website or in person. And once it's approved, we can get at you meeting this sweet little frog.
He is so sweet,
He's
too.
the best, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's been at the shelter for 6 months.
Has he really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
that's
doesn't love
amazing.
other animals, but he's the best people dog.
Well,
As
he's
you can
another one of
see.
those kind of animals. He might be a little crazy when you first see him in the kennel there, but you get him out like this and look
You
at
were
him.
saying he sounds like a seagull in the kennel?
He does have a very special seagull call when he
Yeah.
would like our attention, but as you can see, once he gets what he wants, the seagull
Yeah.
call goes to the back row.
I probably brought up his ears like 5 times this morning. I won't
pigtails.
shut up, but like look at him he's so calm, just like, he's like, Craig, I love you.
I love you too.
I know, he's just been
I
on
love
Craig's
you
lap
too.
the whole time.
You're very good. You're so very
You're
good.
killing me, Zuby.
Yeah.
And what's his name mean?
Zoob, it's short for exuberant.
How fitting.
Yes, because
Yeah.
he's a great outdoor dog. He loves hikes and walking and fetching, jumping. He's like a little kangaroo. Oh my
gosh.
He's a very talented dog.
He's so
He's
soft.
very smart. Yes, that's the salmon oil.
Zuby, you're like, Zuby, you're the full package.
You're beautiful.
What a great guy.
So again, this is going to be held right at your facility?
Right at the SPCA, yes, 11 to 4 tomorrow.
All right. What's the address of that, too, if people want to know?
141 Bar Harbor Road, Trenton, Maine.
Pretty easy to find.
Sounds like a great thing to do because it's been so cold out. We all need something to do.
It's a nice way to get out of the house. We have snacks donated by Hannaford. Lovely, lovely Hannaford, always donating some goodies. We'll have some hot tea and, of course, our cats in the lobby and rooms to hang out with. So it'll be really fun.
Well, props to you guys. This is a different fundraising thing. I love when I see people getting creative with how they're fundraising.
Very thankful to our volunteer Dinah, who kind of got it going and got it in the works. And the more heads to come up with different things, the better.
Yeah, and more heads to scratch.
Yeah, get more ears. Oh, that's good.
That's a good scratch.
Yeah. Somebody come get Zoom.
Yeah, what
He
are you
needs a
doing?
home.
Come get the Zuby.
Yeah.
Come get him. Oh, well, Mariah, thanks so much for joining us.
So happy to be here. Say thank you,
Were
Zuby.
you happy to be here?
The pigtails say yes.
Right, we're going to send it back to Devin for a check of that forecast.
Good dog. Good dog.
Hey, Craig and Emma, thank you very much. We have a small crowd advisory that is expiring this morning as the wave heights begin to calm down. So since we're talking about the wave heights, let's check on them right now. Still a little bit active out there at around 2 to 4 feet, but they've calmed down enough to where they're allowing the advisory to expire. But for now, here's what we're looking at this morning. A rather quiet start with a few passing clouds, but really that's about it. We will be under a partly cloudy sky moving forward. The rest of the northeast, just a little bit of lake effect still developing in some spots. Otherwise, for us, we're looking pretty good as we move forward today. Futurecast moving forward, we will be under a partly cloudy sky today. Any clouds that develop will begin to back off later on tonight, as will then become mostly clear. As we head towards your Saturday, a lot of sunshine to start, and we'll hold on to sunshine all day long. Maybe a little bit of clouds to the north, but that's about it. By Saturday night, notice some clouds will be passing through, and as we head towards your Sunday, maybe a slight chance for snow that we'll need to keep an eye on. But for now, the focus will also be on the gusty winds. Those could reach up to about 20 to even 25 miles per hour today before they start to calm down for the most part later on tonight. A few scattered gusts still cannot be ruled out at times for a few of us. Then once we head towards tomorrow, not looking too bad in the wind department either. Maybe a quick gust up to 15 miles per hour, and that's about it. Now, temperatures yesterday made into the mid-20s in some spots. It was warmer to the south, almost 30s close to the Rockland area, but further off towards the north, it was a little bit cooler in the northern side of the state. And then, of course, this morning it has gotten cold out there. Temperatures again in the single digits, if not even below zero further off towards the north. These numbers may fall a little bit more before we hit our final low temperatures this morning. But for now, our average high temperature is 27 degrees. We'll do mid-20s, so we're close to average today, and then lower 20s Saturday. And then we're back in the low 30s Sunday into Monday, mid-30s Tuesday. And then here we go, a cool down Wednesday and Thursday. We are back in the teens. So your forecast for today, mid-20s, partly cloudy and breezy. Northwest wind getting up to about 20 miles per hour. By tonight, here we go, 2 below under a mostly clear sky, and the northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And for tomorrow, we have lower 20s under a mostly sunny sky, and that west wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Alrighty, let's check out your extended forecast. Partly cloudy Sunday with a slight chance for snow and highs in the low 30s. Mostly cloudy Monday with highs in the low 30s. Then there it is, a chance for rain and snow on Tuesday with highs above freezing in the mid-30s.
Looking to get stronger? This is your year. Join Planet Fitness today for just $1 down and save.
We're stepping it up.
We're not slowing down.
We're gonna feel this tomorrow.
I'm
doing it my way, on my time.
We're just gonna keep showing up. Showing up.
Showing up. You coming?
Join the club today. Save $28 or more when you join for just $1 down, $15 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends January 31st. Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet.
Bob's Discount Furniture presents this year's biggest challenge. It's time to dare to compare. My mango set is only $9.99 versus theirs at $15.69. My signature hybrid mattress versus the leading brand name hybrid mattress. Theirs is over $1,000 more. My Playday is $7.99. Theirs is over $2,000. My Dream 5-piece sectional, $24.99 versus $42.99. See how much you can save when you dare to compare. In store or at mybobs.com.
Orno Arcade has expanded, and we have dozens of new games to play. We have prize machines, including an entire section dedicated to your favorite modern games. We have games from the 80s and games from the 90s. Plus, we have the largest selection of indie arcade games in the country, along with 9-hole blacklight mini golf. We also have a brand new birthday party room. Hey, we have it all. Come on up to Orno and experience one of the most unique family entertainment centers in Maine.
It's high school basketball season, and ABC 7 and Fox 22 are here to keep you up to date with your local scores and highlights during Friday Night Fast Break. Get out and support your hometown teams and look for our sports crew to get your own free Friday Night Fast Break t-shirt courtesy of
Hometown Health Center, Irish Collision Center, Old Town Redemption Center, Reardon's Automotive, Rose Bicycle, and Powney Sub and Slices LLC.
Well, China is debuting its youngest class of baby pandas. Around 25 baby cubs made their first appearance on Thursday as part of a Chinese New Year celebration. The group, all born in 2024, are from two of China's panda research centers. Caretakers put dragon fruit on the cubs' feet and pressed their paws on a special New Year backdrop to leave their print. The cubs also had a chance to play with the New Year's decorations. Chinese New Year falls on January 29th this year. According to official data, the wild giant panda population has almost doubled since the 1980s. I didn't realize, are they like babies and they can't really hold their own? Doesn't look like they can hold their own head up really well.
Yeah, I don't know. They're pretty young, but they're not babies.
Oh my God, this video is crazy. They're so large. Well, the global captive population of giant pandas is around 750, so not even really that many.
Yeah.
So every one of them are so special.
They look like little stuffed animals almost.
They look
kind
not
of
real.
animated,
Yeah.
I guess the one that China just loaned to the U.S. was just made its debut yesterday at the National Zoo as well. So if you want to see one in person, head on down to D.C.
In D.C.
I think it's
okay.
D.C. Yeah.
I was thinking as I went to bed last night, I was like, I gotta make it to D.C. soon. There's so between the Smithsonian and all of our all the things at our nation's capital, it's important.
You could spend so much time down there.
You get to
just
see the
trying to see it
pandas.
all. And see the pandas too. Hang out with some pandas.
Most importantly.
Yeah. All right, from pandas to stinky plants. The rare flowering of a stinky endangered plant drew thousands of devoted fans to a greenhouse in Sydney, Australia on Thursday. The corpse flower, known for its smell of decaying flesh, is traditionally found in the Sumatran rainforest in Indonesia.
Look at that line. Those people are all waiting to see the corpse flower.
They want to see a plant. That's it. Yeah, I'm here for the plant.
It's a really smelly plant, Craig.
Yeah. The plant only flowers every 7 to 10 years in the wild. There are thought to be only 300 of the plants left in the wild and fewer than 1,000 worldwide, including those that are currently in cultivation.
And that video of it right there, it's not flowering yet. So that's not even what a lot of the people were trying to see. That was it before it flowered.
All right.
I would wait in line to see the corpse flower. For
Interesting
sure.
plant. I think it smells like a corpse because it wants to attract flies and that kind of thing. And
it may be carnivorous.
Then it will eat them.
Yeah. Kind of like a really big version of a Venus flytrap.
Something like that.
Something. Yeah.
But it smells like rotting flesh. So
disgusting.
Yeah. But it's weirdly beautiful at the same time.
Love it. I love things that are strange.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like we're running out of time.
Why'd you look at me when you said that? No, I'm just kidding.
Well.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Okay, it does look like we are running out of time. If you missed anything, you can head to foxbangor.com.
Hey, we hope you have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining us. Get out there and enjoy this weekend if you can.
Yeah.
And stay warm.
than 25 words or less. You know him from American Auto. Just kidding, no one watched that. It's John Baron-Holtz. Joining John are co-workers Alan and Andrea. Her website has links where you can buy her favourite clothes, so you too can look like the best-dressed homeless woman under the bridge. It's Heather McMahon.